We're currently in the middle of a series between Goswser and Hart. Hart took game number 1 after very severe mind games and able to play on the fact of what people know about him. And Goswser tried to play really safe and try to get ahead of the curve, but instead fell really far behind. That's kind of the risk you take.
You know, I should have mentioned right after the game, what would actually prevent that is Goswser keeping control of his overlords in the beginning. If he actually have both of the overlords actually in the right position to check that natural, then he wouldn't.
Expansion.
The expansion, because the main two options are to all in after a 2 racks or to get your expansion. So if you have your overlords in place, obviously you can see if it's not this one, that it's most likely the other one. I will prepare. Once you see the command center, you're like, oh, okay, drone. But he put down the roach warren. He started mining gas. It really takes away from a lot of your potential, eco games directly after that. So I had to mention it.
Yeah, well, it's okay, Andre. We'll forgive you because you eloquently explained it just now. But let's go ahead and go into Daybreak for game number 2 between Goswser and Hart.
Yep. Daybreak is probably one of my favorite TVZ or ZVT maps.
Not TVZ.
Not TVZ.
I hate this map, TVZ. Man.
I've been playing all over the place. I've been playing a lot of Zerg. I've been playing a lot of Protoss. Not a lot of Terran though.
Yeah, I mean, every time I look over your shoulder, you're playing something different. Either it's Terran or Zerg, or you're practicing your creativity. Is that what what you say?
Are you talking about my new Warp Gate build?
Oh gosh, it's always a pleasure watching over Gretorp's shoulder because he's always trying to push the limits of how far he can abuse each race's advantages. It's like, well, how can I abuse force fields really well? It's like, well, how can I abuse building so many queens? It's really, really funny to see how far you control at high master / GM levels. Let's go ahead and introduce our players. Starting at the top right, we have Hart from Team Complexity, currently up 1-0 over his teammate Goswser, the purple Zerg in the bottom left. And this is Goswser's map choice, and I mean, it's a really good map for Zerg. Can you explain why, Andre?
The main premise behind it is that you're able to take a 3rd base, and then your 4th and 5th are actually really nice progression. So your 3rd base is tucked away on the left-hand side over here. Think about the distance Terran have to travel, though. You have to kind of go on to a path where Zergs will always see with Overlord scouting, so they can kind of position really nicely. If you have good creep spread as well, it's almost like a little map hack, so you can position your units even better. Overall, I think it's just a great map to sit back, take your 3rd base, and then just build on that economy and explode once you're able to materialize into units.
This is kind of cool. Goswser is scouting a lot earlier with the drone. Some Zergs even opt to not drone scout at all on this map. You just use your 2nd Overlord to scout for proxies, and the 1st, of course, to spot the expansions. You shouldn't be able to get caught by any kind of early Marine. So the idea is that Goswser is scouting early just because he wants to be extra safe. He saw what Hart's capable of last game. He just wants a better idea this time.
Yes. The main thing when you're doing this as Zerg is, where is that barracks? Is the barracks in the main, or is it going to be not there at all? If it's not there, you know it's some sort of 2 racks. And he was checking if there was going to be a gas down just to see if there were any shenanigans, but he's just going to get out of there. A good scout, successful scout, but I think you can get away with just the Overlord. I prefer that. I know it's stylistic, though.
Yep, and we can see now, though, that Hart is just going for a 1 racks gas as fast expand, taking a quick gas afterwards as well, not even going for a 2nd or 3rd barracks just yet, so probably going just quick tech straight after. Now, what's interesting is that on Daybreak, there are different... the paths to your opponent's base are very, very far apart, and so there's often that scouting issue, and that's why Terrans also try to sneak up stuff up towards the north and try to hit that Zerg's 3rd. But look at this from Hart. He's going to even go ahead and prevent that 3rd, placing up a bunker. This is becoming more and more common, putting the Marines in that bunker, preventing any attempt to expand, and for Zerg, kind of an awkward position on their expansion timings.
The one big problem about this is that it actually is pretty weak against Roach Bane Zergling all-ins. Like, even though this is a very tiny amount of money, 50 minerals for the Marine, of course, 100 minerals for the bunker. Very nicely done by Goswser, taking out the Marine before the bunker even goes down. Salvage your bunker! Okay, he's going to get it. But what I was about to say is, that does weaken the initial defenses right now. No bunker is down, and actually, if there was mining gas this whole time, Frodan, he could have actually done a Zergling Baneling bust off of just 2 hatcheries and won the game straight up.
Yeah, one of those old school, hatchery tech baneling bust where you go speedlings to just completely devastate your opponent. But at this point, Hart has pretty much everything under normal wraps. He does have his reactor starting for his incoming reactor Hellions. And from here, he also has enough gas to really pump out Banshees. Just very typical play in TVZ thus far. And Goswser does have his third base on the way a little bit earlier, but of course, if you get that early win, I think it's a pretty good move. So both players playing very well.
By the way, I like the 2 queens. It's really, really cute. A lot of people actually get the hatchery before, this third hatchery before the 2 queens are out, or even one other queen is out. It's so important to actually get your creep spread. It just gives you the ability to keep up to so many different things, whether it be Hellions, whether it be Banshees. You're going to be able to do something about it. And look at that. We have Hellions and Banshees on the way out. So the creep spread is definitely in place to defend against all those different types of harassments.
I do like how purple is much more noticeable now on creep compared to before. Before it was like a sea of creep. Now it's more like a little puddle. Just
thank goodness, man.
It was really hard.
So
that's why Sheth would play purple all the time. Because he's like, well, if they messed up by not choosing team colors, then I get a very easy advantage. I'm like, wow.
And I was like, Sheth, but what about us observers? The people that can do that. It's like,
oh, too bad.
Sorry, bro.
Of course, Sheth is playing over at the IPL Team Arena and trying to hold it out for Team Liquid, but we do see Goswser at this point spreading his creep on the low ground, and that's a really important place to take over the watchtower area. Easy access down to that watchtower, as well as the mobility to your third is a great establishment, especially for the early mid-game in case there are any timings. Now, Hart is going for Banshees, but he's not going for Cloak. He's in fact trying to use that extra gas to just squeeze out a couple more upgrades. Oh, look at this! He's going to start the Caduceus reactor as well to try to fake out Cloak, and hopefully the Overlord sees it and forces a reaction out of his opponent.
The normal reaction, of course, Spore Crawlers, that's indirect damage being done for basically nothing, but there are no Marines. There they finally are. 2 Marines over here. If Goswser actually had any units out in the field right now, he would be able to do something huge about it. Unfortunately, he doesn't know anything. These 5 roaches could actually do so much to that third base. It forces all of the Banshees backwards. They can't actually be harassing. They're a lot more useful attacking rather than defending.
And you can see that the Overlord will be dealt with, but Hart does cancel. I wonder if any Terran accidentally let it finish one time. And it's like, well, now my Medevacs can heal 25 more health. It's like, yes! I definitely have to start a list of like what are the most useless upgrades in the game. I think that is definitely one of them.
Caduceus reactor?
Caduceus
that
reactor.
has to be the worst one.
Really? I think the Neo Steel
How dare you! You shut your mouth.
I think high sec auto tracking is pretty bad as well.
I hate you.
The Banshee is moving out here, trying to see if they can control zone. A big thing, of course, is you can squeeze out a Raven later on and control creep tumors, but for now, Hart's good enough with just containing the creep.
Hey, did you know if I get Neo Steel Frame and put 8 Marines in there, it's like having Marines as air units, man. They're all attacking from one specific point with +1 range. That's crazy.
Oh wait, really? It gets +1 range even on top of the bunker, +1 range?
Oh no, it's just.
Okay. I thought like Marines have 8 range and they can almost hit the Colossus, and you just have like, wow, all I need to do is get Neo Steel Frame, and my Marines can hold off Colossi.
The Neo Steel Frame. Do not bash on that upgrade, bro.
All right, I hear you.
Near and dear to my heart.
Lock it up, Andre. Lock it up.
All right.
We have Goswser is finishing up a slew of upgrades, and of course, he hasn't actually even motioned for a 4th base yet. I think he doesn't know about the 3rd. Oh, he does know about the 3rd orbital. Normally, Zergs respond by getting a quick 4th base as well, because there's nothing really that can stop them from it. But Goswser still making a lot of units at this point.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to do this all-in pressure off of 3 base. I shouldn't really say all-in, but similar to how we have it in ZVP. He's going to be doing that same thing. Just get a slew of units, go over to this area and attack wherever his opponent is weakest. The problem is Medevacs are already out in the field, so counterattacks are very, very powerful. And counterattacks in TVZ are particularly more powerful just because those Medevacs make it so that you have to use a lot of units to actually defend correctly. And if Hard actually loads up 8 or 16 Marines, drops the main, Goswser is faced with like a base race. That's a terrible position for him.
I don't like this at all, but Goswser is going to go ahead and commit to it. You can see, the T-Chains are not sieged up. That's a huge part of this attack. And Goswser, I mean, doesn't even really have that much in terms of tech, but he just has raw unit potential. And Hart is way out of position, although that bunker is very nicely tucked up. Using the refiner, that's a very cool place. I didn't really thought of about that in the past, but it doesn't even really matter because there's way too many roaches.
And look at how many Banelings are already made. These Banelings are going to actually blindside all these units. Siege mode isn't finished yet, and he's going to get the biggest hits ever.
Oh, GG.
Right before it hits. Right before it hits.
Oh, man, he's like, I don't even want to watch. God, I hate that, man. I make so much a big effort to go for a huge play, and they always leave just before I can get the satisfaction of killing all their units.
That's why you just resume game. You just keep going for 5 minutes more.
It's always like when you're about to win in Madden, and then they always just press start and quit. When you ever play a game with your friend, they always just quit. That way they don't give you satisfaction.
The worst is Super Smash Brothers. They press start and then reset.
And I'm just RC, whatever.
I just want to hit them so hard.
Well, I guess these guys clearly are respecting each other's play, but Goswser with a really phenomenal timing attack, recognizing Hart's weakness, but again, catching him out of position with those tanks was very key. But that's pretty much it for that game. We'll go ahead and hop into game number 3 after a quick commercial break. Once again, we'll find out the deciding match between these two players, this camera, in just a minute. Don't go anywhere. More action from the Season 4 qualifiers right after this.